Welcome. This is new for me. I have to say this is pretty cool. I got trained on it not too long ago, and what a cool way to connect with people in the new normal. My name's Bram, and I'm founder and president of Indiehitmaker. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but and we got a couple people in the room. Curious by raise of hand, or man, we can even call you out by name. So Emily, Latham, I hope I got that right, and Melinda and Tony, right? Who here is a artist? Raise your hand. Cool. And then, so I assume, who here is a small business owner? All right. So two people. I guess go ahead and let me know what you guys do. The other two that are in the room. All right, just wanted to get small business owner. Okay, great. And so I guess that leaves Latham, right?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do, Latham?
I mean, I'm not a small business owner. I'm a musician, though.
Okay, great. So we got two artists in the room and two small business owners. So when the team asked me to do a presentation, so a little bit about me. I forgot to get a water. So silly. Should ask someone to bring me a glass of water.
Who needs water?
Yeah, who needs water, right? Gonna ask the wife to bring me a glass of ice water. Because if I stand up, you guys will see that I'm conference dressed only from the waist up. I'm just kidding. So a little bit about me. I started Indiehitmaker back in 2007. Well, I started off as a professional touring musician, going all the way back to the days of college. My folks dropped me off 5 minutes later, scouring my dorm hall for someone to play with. I go up a half a flight of stairs and find my music collaborator for the next 15 years. And after we graduate college, we moved our band down to Atlanta, Georgia, and went pro. And that lasted for several years, and through record deals and 150 shows a year and all that good stuff, the band finally broke up. I went into artist and tour management, which led me to start Indiehitmaker, which first began as a way for independent artists to get in the Billboard Charts by reporting their live venue sales, which these days has been taken over by @venue, which turned Indiehitmaker into more of an artist development company and what I like to call helping artists build momentum. That led me into the world of live music production, where I was taught a lot of the tips and tricks from some of the best in the industry to teach artists how to capture and engage audiences with their performances. And I don't necessarily mean pyrotechnics and lighting and video walls, but just from loving your audience and learning how to connect with your music, your transitions, and understanding how to work the stage and all that good stuff. And found out I was pretty damn good at that, which then led me into the world of real estate and politics, as we were trying to create new tax incentives here in Georgia for music, very similar to film. If you guys are familiar, a lot of incredible movies are made here because of those tax incentives. Almost every single Marvel movie is made here, amongst a whole bunch of others. I'm gonna raise my seat up a little bit. And so we wanted to open up a tour. We wanted to create a tour origination facility to take advantage of some of those music tax credits. And we're going to build the South's largest sound stage in order to kick off those really big tours. And that led me into the world of film, as we were trying to rehab some spots and wound up, instead of putting tours into them, we were putting major movies. Like started off with Spider-Man Homecoming, the movie First Man. If you guys are Stranger Things fans, we had all of the underground sets for Stranger Things season 3 in our facility. We opened up a second one. And now we're working on smart stages, which I guess would be a completely different talk. But that kind of caught me up to where I am today. And then interesting enough, with COVID killing my business, since most of my artists and clients were all live touring, making the bulk of their money from playing live and selling merch and all that other type of stuff, Indiehitmaker has taken a severe hit from COVID, but luckily enough, I was starting to develop some relationships with other people. And I used to be really against streaming. I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was very anti-artist, but I've come around. And right now I am supporting my family from streaming alone. And I thought that maybe that's what we could talk about today, because it actually works for both small business owners and artists as to how you can be generating recurring monthly revenues from your catalog. And if you don't have enough catalog, we can talk a little bit about how to create that catalog. And for small business owners, how you guys could go out and start your own catalog by licensing music from artists that are not generating any revenue from streaming, or they have large back catalogs and don't have their music up on streaming sites and all that other type of stuff. So I think that's what we're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about. And if you could see, let's see if I can turn myself around. Number 2, right, Melinda? Use my lightsaber.
Yep.
I've got this page up here that you guys could check out. This kind of really talks about the program that we offer that in essence allows any artist to start streaming promotions and making about $2 a song per month with no cost out of pocket. Now you're like, well, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, and you're right, it isn't, but this is about quantity, and I'm going to use this term very loosely, not necessarily quality. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily meaning you can put up total shit and garbage, but it doesn't, you don't have to go into the studio and spend thousands of dollars recording a song to get it up. Like, you can make something at home. There's actually a couple other, we have another blog page that talks about recording your music at home. Here's the full website. Perhaps maybe in a minute I'll bring up one of those other pages, but you can find it on the blog. So I see we got a couple of new people. Welcome, guys. We were asking everybody, anybody just walked in, are you a musician or a small business owner? Peyton, Georgia.
Georgia.
Hi.
Hi. I'm just here to learn. I'm neither.
Neither. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a student. I'm a college student.
Okay.
I'm an intern.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and so that was Georgia, right? Or is that Peyton?
That was Peyton.
Okay. And Georgia?
I'm in the same boat.
Okay, cool. Well, this works for you guys as well. Were you guys interns in the music industry?
Yeah, we're interns.
Yeah.
Great. So this could work for you guys as well. I got something for everybody in this room. So obviously, I assume we all know what streaming is, and we all are familiar with Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, Deezer, and the lot, right? DSPs, digital service provider, that's another name for these people. If any of this stuff doesn't sound familiar to you, shout out. I think we've got a small enough group here where, you know, you could raise your hand or just talk and interrupt me. That's fine. You know, there's always been this kind of thought that there's not a lot of money to be made on streaming, and that's true if you look at it the wrong way. And there's also the concern that, you know, when you go out and use a third-party promotion company to try to blow up your music on Spotify and such, they flag you and pull you down for a myriad of reasons. And it could be argued that this is the wild, wild west. It has no regulation. So, you know, like the electric company can't turn around and change their prices on you or kick you off the grid at their will because they're regulated by the government. But the streaming world, that's not so the case. So it could be argued, and I'm not saying that this is true or false, that if an artist was killing it on Spotify, getting millions of streams, and, you know, they had to pay you money, what's to stop them from saying, we suspect you of fraud, and they just take you down and they revoke your royalties? And that's something that's always bothered me. And I'm not saying that that practice is done, but I'm not saying that it's not done. It can't be proven because it's all behind the curtain, and there's really no way to tell, and there's no way to enforce the laws. And frankly, I think with the amount of money that's moving through these streaming platforms, that there needs to be regulation and protection for the artists. It's otherwise it's an unfair game. So how do you turn the tables back to your advantage? Well, this is what we've been working on for a couple of years, and it works, and there's nothing fraudulent or illegitimate about it. We've just collected enough of a pool of audiences and playlists out there that we can generate a couple thousand streams per song every single month, and that usually could reflect to a couple dollars in revenue. So that certainly means that you need to have a really large catalog. For artists, that would mean you shouldn't be going into the studio and spending a fortune and what we call birthing a baby of your creative works. That it takes a long time and it needs to be painful and expensive. There are so many tools out there today to make music easily and quickly. And with a couple strategies that we'll talk about in a minute, that you should be able to, with the effort of trying to write one song, you could easily turn that into 10, 25, 50, or maybe even more songs by doing different things with it. For business owners or people who are non-musical or non-creators, you could go out and find those people that have this music or have the capability of creating music quickly, easily, and inexpensively, and start your own catalog and bring these artists in and share the revenues with them. So you make a little bit and they make a little bit, and everybody's making more than they were by not doing it. And so that's where I think there's, even for you guys as interns, could do that as well. So anybody could own a catalog and get something started, and that's what we do. We'll help you along the way. And if you pay for your own promotions, there's a lot more money in it for you, but this is a no cost way of doing it. I'll be honest. My team takes the lion's share of everything because it costs a lot of money, but what's left over represents about $2 a song per month. So do the math. You give me 100 songs, it's $200 every single month that you didn't have before. Now, granted, it takes 3+ months to start getting paid. So there's a waiting period, but once it starts, it keeps coming, and that's a lovely thing. Like I said, I'm literally supporting my family on my catalog right now. Granted, I have tens of thousands of songs in my catalog, but anybody can get there over time. And like I said, do the math: 1,000 songs, $2,000; 10,000 songs, $20,000 a month. We usually can't do much better than that, but who's going to complain about $20,000 a month? So, and I'm not there yet. So, but I'm getting there, and I believe in it. So, any questions up to this point? Cool. I'll take that as you guys are all into it, because nobody's gotten up and left. Okay. So, how do you create a 10,000 song catalog? Well, first of all, let's start with a goal that's a hell of a lot easier to reach. Let's talk about, wherever you are today, doubling that number or going for 100 song catalog. How can you do that easily? So in the world of streaming, and I think you'll see this when you go online and look, if you go to, say, Phil Collins, and you take a look at what's up there for streaming, he's got his Genesis records and he has his solo records. And then there's a whole bunch of compilations. There's deluxe albums, there's remixes and all that other type of stuff. Every single song that you make could easily have anywhere from 10 to 60 versions of it. Right off the bat, without thinking twice, you have your full composition. You have your instrumental. You have an a cappella version. And then you can get into remixes where somebody else remixes something about it. You could make an acoustic version of it if it's rock. You could turn it into EDM if you're an Americana artist or something like that. You could have somebody else sing your vocals. You could actually change the instrumentation or some of the sound. You could remove something, replace something. And now all of a sudden, especially if you're recording your own music in your own home studio, just by making little changes, you should be able to take one song and turn it into a whole bunch of tracks. And then we can take those tracks and put them onto compilations or volumes, a deluxe re-release. So for the artist that wants to build momentum on one side and generate revenues on the other, you have your record that you're releasing and putting your effort into spending money and time trying to blow it up. And you have your back catalog on this side, which could be the songs on your new release and all the old stuff. And we just take that and we're going to mix it up into a whole bunch of compilation albums or something like that. And you have two tracks working at the same time, one generating revenue and one generating momentum. For the small business owner, you would go out and try to find as many artists as you can. And what you're doing is licensing their music into your catalog. And then you bring it to us and we'll put it out there. We'll do the promotions and we'll send you the payment. You take your cut, whatever that is between you and the artist, and you send them the rest. And all of a sudden you're generating mailbox money. And then if these artists are producers, so who to look for? Obviously, most independent artists that believe that this is an art and music's not a commodity and they have to take a piece of their soul out every time they make a song and a record, and they have to spend money and it has to be perfect, and they have to birth it, and it's a long, arduous process. Might not be the best target audience for you, but the prolific songwriter or the producer that uses Ableton or Logic or royalty-free beats and can build music out of the thin air and can do it rather quickly is a great target. Or for you to become as an artist, again, keep your artistry in one lane and keep your music as a commodity chunk out engine in another lane, and keep those working together, because the money that you make from your revenues of your back catalog could help fuel the monies that you need to build momentum for your career as an artist. And if you guys are interested, we could jump into the momentum lane a little bit during this talk as well, if that interests you guys. Again, for small business owners, developing artists could be, probably not the best way to make a living. Doing the catalog stuff is going to be easier and faster because the music business is so damn risky and there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of money that's spent to develop artists. Cool, we'll share momentum in a minute. So building a catalog. Okay, so then the other thing is that you can go out and find people that have back catalog that's not doing anything. You'd be surprised, especially in Nashville, how many people are walking around with a ton of songs that they've written in the past and have recorded or need to record that are just not generating revenue for them, and they're another excellent target audience. And so that's, without going too deep into it, and we can, if you guys have questions of the mechanics of it, of how to kind of, start with 25 songs, get to always doubling it. And it's ongoing, but sooner or later it will be driving in revenues. None of these will get you out of financial distress if that's happening for you today. But 3 months goes by very quickly, and I've talked to a lot of people and tried to bring this idea to them, and they sit around and wait on it. And all the time that they're sitting around and waiting on it, they could have been making money. So it's strike fast, strike quick, and get it started. Even if it is just a handful of songs, and I'll make myself available to talk to you guys, because if you bring stuff to your catalog, becomes part of my catalog. So yes, I'm making money, you're making money. If you're not the artist is making money. This is a win-win-win. And that's the kind of business that I like to do. everybody should win. It's not a shitload of money per song, and that's what we need to be. That's why I say it's quantity, not quality. And when I mean quality, I don't mean you can give me a bunch of garbage, but you don't have to go and spend hundreds of dollars and hours in the studio, because then you have to make up all that ROI before any of this is going to happen. Buying some inexpensive gear and using some software and a quiet place in your home, you can make really nice acoustic tracks and throw a couple different instruments behind, even just using your computer, if not plugging an instrument in, and start building a catalog. So any questions on that? Cool. All right. So I think Melinda said, please talk about momentum. So I've been talking about these two parallel tracks, a revenue generation side, back catalog, music as a commodity, and then right along with it are dreams. Why we are an artist rather than a bricklayer or a lawyer or a rocket scientist, because we have some need to do this. And therefore, we're trying to build a career, and an artist's career is all based on momentum. And I got a lot to talk about on that. So the four major aspects or pillars or parts of building momentum are this. One, your vision. And I just kind of said it. Why are you an artist instead of a bricklayer, doctor, lawyer, rocket scientist, brain surgeon? Okay, we all have different reasons. It's kind of the message, it's whatever that compels us to be an artist. Then two is the audience that wants to buy into that vision, because they're going to become your super fans, and super fans are what power careers. They are your bread and butter, whereas sync licenses, getting your music into TV and film is like a bonus check, and getting signed or becoming the next Taylor Swift is like winning the lottery. You got to get the bread and butter down, and the bread and butter is all about having an audience. Knowing who your audience is, or the people that want to buy into your music, certainly starts with vision and understanding who wants to buy into that vision and catering to them. In the live music world, we call it loving your audience. And you don't have to just love your audience from stage. You can love it from your studio. You can love it from your computer screen. Really understanding who your audience is and giving them what they want, or at least understanding how to engage with them and not sacrificing your creative vision and integrity to do so. Then the third part is goals. What are your goals? Everybody's goals are different. And then what's your budget to complete those goals? And that's where most artists fall apart. They want to take over the world. They want to be the biggest artist in the world. They want to tour Europe, and they got $500. Well, guess what? If I can't align these four things, there's no way I'm going to be able to build your momentum. And not that I can guarantee if you've got all four perfectly worked out, will you? No, but I can promise, I don't guarantee anything, but I can promise your success is going to be a hell of a lot better if all that stuff's aligned. And so that's what we do at Indiehitmaker. When you join Indiehitmaker for $10 a month, you get a kickoff session with me. We talk about those things, and then I start to put a plan into place to help build that momentum. If you want to chart on Billboard, we do something called chart qualification. I have Billboard listen to the music, because they ultimately decide what your genre is and where they're going to put you on their charts. And if I know what charts you're going to be on, I can then go look at SoundScan data, and I can say, well, this is what it takes to be number one on this chart, and this is what it takes to enter the chart at the bottom on this chart, and this is what you need to do in sales and streams. And then there's also another important factor with whatever you're selling. There's also what I call an artist consumer behavior profile. And that's the small business people in the room might like that better, could understand it better. But the reality of it is that just because, you know, you could sell a whole bunch of CDs to your direct fans just once doesn't really mean that you can build momentum. And a lot of artists do that, where they get their whole fan base to buy their record on pre-order, and they sell several thousand records that first week, and the second week it's like zero. So you get on the charts, maybe you get on the charts, and then you fall right off. That's not momentum. Momentum is when something builds and grows and gets bigger. And I always equate momentum to being like a wheel. A wheel has spokes, and all those spokes have to be turning at the same time. And then you could go into the analogy of, you know, getting to the top of Everest or any mountain. Excuse me. You could choose, you know, if you walk it, you got to snake path it and meander the path, and it takes a long time, and you're going to run out of energy. You got to stop and rest. You could do it on a bike. It's a little bit faster, but it's still all based on the energy of you. That's bootstrapping, and, you know, where, you know, the elbow grease. You could buy a cheap car. It's going to get, it could or could not. It might break down. It happens to so many artists. They only get halfway up the mountain, and then they break down, and they can never get out of that spot. You could buy a good brand new economy car, and it's going to get you up there, but, you know, you could buy a G-Wagon and shoot right up to the top. But that's, you know, all based on budget. So those are the kinds of analogies that we use with discussing that. And then, so your consumer behavior profile is, well, if I want to be number one in this genre, and I'm against Chris Stapleton or Taylor Swift, that's obviously too lofty, but, you know, some artists, the consumer behavior profile is not only your sales numbers and your streaming numbers, but it's also your Facebook, social, and your engagement, not just how many fans you have on there, but how many fans are responding to this stuff, the engagement level. And this is about, so all these parts become very important in your wheel of momentum that need to be taken care of all at the same time, or it's not going to work. And I think that that's really where momentum is about. And I go back to the wheel with all the spokes turning at the same time, and you start adding more spokes into there as your momentum grows. And so then it is, what's the right strategy to start building my momentum? Well, I wouldn't start spending $1,500 a month on a publicist at first, and I would love for you to. But the reality of it is that you haven't generated any news worthy of being publicity. And this goes the same. These lessons can go right into a small business owner. Building momentum for your small business is the same as building momentum for an artist. And I've seen this across everything that I've done, whether it's film, music, entrepreneurship. I have a startup company where we're trying to put data processing into space, which will lead to an entertainment play. It's always the same, no matter what. So business and music, like if I'm in film, I use music artist analogies. If I'm in the music world, I use film analogies or business analogies. Sports analogies are always all the same. Business is business. It's the music business. It's not music, right? It's the film industry. They all play by the same rules. And of course, relationships are key and number one. I wish, here's a freebie for you, that if you haven't read the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I would say that could be one of the most important books you could ever read in your life. And dare to say that you could maybe even skip a couple years of college by reading that book on how to be successful moving forward, because it's really all about relationships. Artists with their, yeah, Melinda says it's an incredible read, and it truly is. Artists building relationships with their fans, small business building relationships with their customers, or your B2B relationships. It really is, it's always all about relationships. So when you're building your momentum, we had our revenue track and we had our momentum track. Let's go right to the momentum track. Inside the momentum track, there's some rails, right? You've got your fans and your audience, as well as you've got the industry to deal with. And you're gonna have to work both of those at the same time. So there's a lot of work to do when building momentum, and you're gonna need a team. And deciding on who that team is will be based on your budget and your goals, but just getting anybody might not be the right answer, because this is the one thing that I found in my life, and being a musician and a producer on both sides of the fence, that time is money. And if you're spending a lot of time and not spending a lot of money and it's not going anywhere, the reality of it is, if you're spending a lot of time doing something, you are spending a lot of money. And so maybe to spend the money in the right way in the first place will move your momentum along, instead of meandering the path you can get from point A to point B. Again, this works both for small business owners, entrepreneurs, as well as artists. It doesn't matter. It's really truly the same. And I think that's the one thing I've learned in my 49 years of walking on this planet, that's what part of the game is, and failure is part of the game as well. I never really used to understand that, when some of the greatest entrepreneurs who've taken time to talk with me and spend life and, explaining what a fail is and why a fail is good, and how every single entrepreneur that's ever made it or fulfilled their dreams, again, artist, entrepreneur, small business, doesn't matter. You guys are all entrepreneurs. Guess what? Artists are entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs, small business owners, could very well be argued that you guys are artists. So you're all one and the same. And, failure is part of what this is all about. There's a lot to be learned from it. And, I can look back and now say, yes, I've had some failures, and I still haven't had my ultimate successes, but I do realize now I do have successes. And you don't really see it the moment, but it's there, and it happens. So, wow, we're already like 33 minutes in, man. This goes by fast, and I've done a lot of talking. So momentum is really about, moving that career to the next level. Momentum for artists is based on releases. And so I'm going to give you one more analogy, and then I'll kind of maybe open up the floor to some questions, or we can have a chat back and forth, because I feel like I've done a lot of talking. One more analogy for you. Imagine the horse race, okay? When those gates open up and the race is on, you have to go, and you have to go the full distance, and you better be prepared that once those doors open, that you are not just rounding the first quarter pole, but you are getting around the final quarter pole and crossing the finish line. So the good news is, there's a lot of time from leaving the stable to going into that starting gate. That's the pre-work, and that's the time that needs to be spent planning, developing, stretching out those goals, not just thinking about the first release, or for the business owner, the grand opening or your soft opening, but what's coming down the pike, not to see where the puck is, but where the puck is going. So what am I going to do after my release? What am I going to do after, plan 4 or 5 releases ahead, and how you're going to get there, rather than just flying by the seat of your pants, which, so take all the time leading up to the starting gate to figure all that out, instead of trying to figure it out once you started the race. And the minute that you as an artist, or you as a business owner, release your record or open up your business, you've started the race. And that's a wrong time to be planning and thinking about where your business is going. So I highly suggest, and this is where a lot of artists make mistakes, they call me, hey, I'm releasing a record next week. How can I get on the Billboard charts? And I'm like, well, we'll do the best that we can. But, if you called me 4, 6, 8, 12 months ago, we could have worked on that. And you could have saved for it. And we could have had a plan of where this is going. So I think, before you start building momentum, the planning stage is the most important. And I try to make it very affordable to work with artists in helping them do that. But find a mentor and plan beyond first goal, and see all that through before you start, because there's, first impressions stain, and once you start, you got to finish. So let's spend the last 10 minutes here talking. Let's just chop it up. Or if anybody's got a question, whether it's about building catalog on the revenue generation side of our parallel track, or building momentum, or even you want to talk business or whatever, somebody want to start a convo?
Yeah, do you got any recommendations, I guess, for software to use for, anybody, I guess, but anything you've used or you recommend for creating kind of your business outline or your business plan outline?
Oh, business plan. Yeah. There are, nothing is coming off the top of my head. I have used stuff before, and let's see here. I'm just going to do a simple Google search. Oh, wait, that's not, I got to turn my number 2 off. And then let's see here. I want to do a Google search. I know anybody could do this, but because now the other thing that you can do is get your hands on a business plan from somebody else. A business plan. I think the hardest parts about a business plan is actually doing the projections. Business plans so right there, the top 10 planning software, the free stuff. Let's take a look and see if one of these names comes up. I have heard of Monday. Asana, I've definitely heard of. Yeah, Forecast, been used. Airtable, I was actually surprised that that's on the list. Airtable is more of a collaboration, but you really can't go wrong with any of these. I think really what you want to do is Google search a winning business plan. A winning business plan obviously is concise, and if you're looking to get investment money, let's be honest about what investors are really looking for. They just want to know how much do you need? How fast am I going to get paid back? And what's my ROI look like? The rest of it is just fluff. And a lot of entrepreneurs and people spend time trying to delve deep into the vision and make beautiful, and I'm very guilty of this, make beautiful looking decks and all that other type of stuff. And the reality of it is that it could all be summed up in a one sheet. Here, let's do this. I'm going to jump into the business world for a minute. I told you guys that we did an aerospace startup company. So we were fulfilling a need of the fact that there's absolutely no data processing up in space, which, if we're going to humanize space, and God forbid one day we're going to, run out of being able to stay on this planet, we have to become a spacefaring species. How you build that infrastructure up in space, and what does it start with? I don't want to waste your guys' time here, but there was a cool one sheet that I had. Let's see here. So we had 2 examples, and let me bring this up. Is this gonna work? Did I hit the upload button? Oh, it's upload. Oh, Lordy, it's taking a long time. All right, I'm not gonna. So we had one version that kind of had all that, but then we remade it to kind of really show the revenues of what you're going to get, and that really started to spike attention. So if it's a business plan or a one sheet, the real focus has to be on your pro formas, your projections, and what's what it is that's your. And I think that this is the wrong one, anyways. This is going to waste your time. We can take this offline if you're interested. Guys, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, Bram at Indiehitmaker.com, BRAM at INDIEHIT. Here, let me type it in right here. A winning business plan, and this could go the same for you artists too. If you're looking for investors, you have to treat your artistry like a business, and you should have a business plan as well. And so, you know, that I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question any better. And that wasn't the one sheet. So this was the one sheet that we created at first, and then the other one sheet that had the real numbers on it is really what got everybody really impressed. So it's, you know, it's always about numbers. Apologies if that didn't really answer your question well enough. Anybody else?
So
All
where
right.
do I start?
As an artist?
Yeah, like if I don't know anything about the industry, but I have music that I need to do something with, what's the first step?
I love that. I love that. Well, you could start working with me. You know, I charge $10 to get started, and I provide a 20-minute kickoff call where you and I will be on the phone together. I give you a release plan, and where do you start though? So we said, I don't know if you were here for the part where we discussed vision and audience, goals, and budget. You start with your vision.
How do I find my audience?
Well, once we figure out what your vision is, we can kind of map it to an audience as we kind of take a look at what your genre is. And, you know, some artists might want to try to save the whales, right? Other artists are all about the party. And some artists might just really be about how to elevate people or to help them with themselves, et cetera, et cetera. Once you find that, then it's pretty easy by using social media and some other tools to go out there and find the kind of people that might be into you, as well as by taking a look at other artists that are like you and taking a look at their audiences. Does that make sense?
It does. So I've played a couple shows and I really just want to make money. I've had artists tell me that many times. I just want to make money doing what I like. That's all I know. What do I do?
Well, how fast and easily can you put music together?
Yeah, I've got a home studio. I do it. Okay.
Yeah. So building the catalog is one way to do it. If you can start chunking out music, and you know you're going to need hundreds of songs, but that's a path to making money. The live show is dead right now. That's that used to be the easiest way for people to make money as an artist, and that's gone. So that's why I decided to really focus today's talk on building the catalog, and or maybe going out and finding. So again, leveraging, any artist can go out and find other artists and license their music on your catalog, and you take a piece and they take a piece. And another way to get to 1,000 to 10,000 song catalog is find other artists that aren't, you know, many artists are lazy. And so if you're motivated, you can go find some people that can really bust out music quite easily, license their music and make it part of your catalog. So now you're just not reliant on yourself, or find a collaborative group of people to make music together and build a catalog together. I think that could be, it's not immediate, but that could be the fastest way to some really, really great revenues. Otherwise, you know, making money as an artist is it's a long haul. It's a long game. There's no silver bullet. There's no step 1, 2, 3 to instant fame. Anybody that looks like they become famous overnight, I guarantee you it took 2 weeks and 20 years to get there. You just didn't see that part of the evolution. It looked like they came out of nowhere. So again, that's the reason why I say think about run a revenue rail and run a momentum rail. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Anybody else? Well, cool. I hope you guys got something out of this chat today, and you know, I'm very available. Would love to help you. It's a tough time to be an artist. It's a tough time to be a small business owner. But it also opens up a lot of doors for some, you know, wherever there's struggle and problems, there's also opportunities. And I think you guys have all seen, you know, as much as this ridiculous time that we live in right now has caused a lot of problems and anguish for people, there's also a lot of opportunity. And so I implore you to go out there and figure out how you can bring something to the table as an artist or a business owner. And if you guys are interested in any of these plans that we have based on music and generating revenue or momentum, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks for your time.